All right, we're going to be going over some team profiles in fantasy football. We're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about the fantasy outlook for their QB, their running back, their receiver, their tight end, and even their defense. We're going to do this team by team, but we're starting out here with the Buffalo Bills. Then next video will be the Miami Dolphins, so look for that. Let's get into the quarterback outlook for Josh Allen this season. All right, so the one saving grace this year for the Buffalo Bills is that they don't have a quarterback competition. They just have Josh Allen that they're focused on. We saw him have some really good weeks last week, but we saw him be very inconsistent with his arm. He made a bunch of bad decisions, but his ability to scramble will make him a fantasy asset this season. I do like him as a week-to-week starter. You can stream him some weeks, but overall, I don't love him as a guy you should go out and grab in your fantasy football drafts. He did finish as the 21st ranked quarterback, and I do think that he will finish around top 20 this year. Maybe 15, maybe 10, but we'll have to look at that when we know better what defenses and kind of how other defenses will be looking that he'll be playing, kind of what the strength of schedule will be for him. Then we'll be able to determine if he is going to be a good starter or not. We can't determine strength of the schedule yet because we haven't seen the defenses play yet. Once the preseason comes, we'll be able to get a better picture on which ones are going to be good and which ones are going to be poor for quarterback play. Let's talk about the running back position. All right, so this is the biggest one that you want to avoid this year, probably across the NFL. The running backs for the Buffalo Bills, it's just not fun right now. It's hard. It's hard to know which one to pick. So you got LeSean McCoy still there. Last year he had a horrible year. He's over 30 now. He only had 5 starts last year. And what I consider a start is 9 or more points in a half-point PPR. He only had 5 throughout the whole year. I think Josh Allen actually had more rushing yards than LeSean McCoy. He was just bad. And, his current ADP is 39th. And, I don't have him projected to finish above that right now. And that's because I think they'll try to. So what I think is going to happen is that they're going to play LeSean McCoy early and then bring in Frank Gore to spell him. And then TJ Yeldon is actually going to be third down back. And then eventually Devin Singletary will work his way into the mix around like week 12 or so. But overall, I think we can avoid McCoy and Frank Gore. Frank Gore is going as running back 69. I don't like that. And Devin Singletary, the rookie running back, is going as RB 49, which if you want to take a dart throw on that, you can. But I don't like to play rookie or draft rookie running backs like that because you just don't know when they're going to get their opportunity. It's kind of a wasted draft pick in standard leagues. If you're doing a best ball league, maybe you can get away with it. I would rather draft TJ Yeldon, who's actually going as currently he's going as RB 75. We look at the starts that he had last year. He had 7 weeks where we consider them starts, where he had 9 or more fantasy points. And I do think he's going to be the third down back for the Buffalo Bills this year. So if any running back is going to hold season-long value, I do think it'll be TJ Yeldon with Devin Singletary having some upside later on in the year. So now we get into the Buffalo Bills receivers, which actually kind of excites me a little tiny bit. They're going to be interesting. So you had John Brown, who actually had a really good fantasy football season going last year before the Ravens decided to go with Lamar Jackson, who's pretty much just a poor man's version of Josh Allen, where he's not a really accurate thrower, and that really hurt John Brown's fantasy value. Actually, he didn't have any after that once Lamar Jackson starting. But as a late round flyer, I think John Brown is going to make for a great late round flyer. He's currently going as receiver 64. If he finishes as a top 20 receiver, we really wouldn't be surprised. And honestly, I think he could easily do that if he is going to be the receiver number 1 for them. Josh Allen has an arm who can throw it deep. That's the thing that Josh Allen does best other than scrambling, is the ability to throw the deep ball. And so I think that those two are going to be able to connect pretty easily for some deep touchdowns. The only problem is you might not know exactly when to start him. I do like Robert Foster as well. So Robert Foster actually had 5 starts down the stretch last year, and he, the last 4 games he averaged 6.3 targets, 4.6 receptions, 72 yards. He actually had 3 games over 100 yards receiving. So if there's an injury to John Brown or something, Robert Foster could be in for some really nice fantasy value this year. But I do think an injury to John Brown would have to occur. Robert Foster is currently going as receiver 73. The next receiver I'll touch on is going to be Cole Beasley. I'm not going to be touching him. I think that he'll just continue to do what he's done his whole career, which is have some really, nice weeks, maybe 3 really nice weeks where you kind of get the idea, hey, maybe I should think about picking this guy up off the waiver wire. But no, you should leave him there. He's not going to be a good fantasy asset this year. Just kind of a stay away. He might get some hype come training camp, but I'm just not going to be going that route. And then we got my favorite receiving option from the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be Isaiah McKenzie. Okay, Isaiah McKenzie is just going to be a deep sleeper. He was kind of a surprising cut from the Denver Broncos. He's a smaller gadget player who the Broncos use mostly as a return man. But when he came to the Buffalo Bills, they're using him a lot on quick passes, end arounds, reverses. They're trying to get the ball into his hands because he's a playmaker. You know, I could kind of see him being used, kind of like Tariq Cohen is used for the Chicago Bears. And, you know, if Isaiah McKenzie has the best year out of these receivers, it's not going to be surprising to me at all. As a late round fantasy sleeper in a best ball draft, last round pick, if you wanted to pick Isaiah McKenzie, I wouldn't blame you, but he could also, you know, not play at all. So it's just one of those things where we're at that point in the season where that just kind of happens. Right now, he's just going to be considered a deep season fantasy football sleeper for me. And then lastly, we're going to touch on the tight end position. Now, there are 4 tight ends kind of on their active roster. You got Tyler Kroft, who's actually already injured, so we don't have to worry about him, the former Bengals tight end, who kind of had some splashes of fantasy relevance. Then we have Lee Smith, who is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. He is not going to be someone that we have to worry about as a fantasy asset. The 2 that are going to come up a lot are going to be Dawson Knox, who's a rookie tight end. I think he might get more hype than the guy I'm about to mention, but I don't see it. I was looking at the film. I just don't see it from him. The one that I like the most is actually going to be Jason Krum. I think he was a former quarterback. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. But anyways, he put together some really nice film throughout the preseason last year, and he's just kind of an impressive playmaker. I think that if he gets another year in his belt, he'll be able to, you know, be a pretty decent fantasy asset. And, you know, if he somehow made his way into a top 12 at the tight end position, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, you don't draft him like that. You draft him as a value tight end if you are even drafting him at all. More the situation with him, the strategy with him, is to just keep him on your radar. If he has a really good week, think about scooping him up off your waiver wire. And then, just real quick, we'll touch on the defense. I think the Buffalo Bills defense will be another really solid streaming defense throughout the year. We'll know when to play them, and you'll know when to target them. When it's an easy matchup, you got to pick them up and start them. All right, that's all I have for you guys on this video. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. We will be doing the Miami Dolphins fantasy football team profile breakdown in the next video. Thanks.